Sometimes we don't act receptive to things we want because there aren't people we want them from. That's the opening quote for today. Let me read it again. Sometimes we don't act receptive to things we want because they aren't from the people we want them from. Good day, my gracious people. I want to say I do hope all is well with everyone, no matter when you listen to this, and welcome to the show. Today is a special show. I know I always say it's a special show, but it should be special. It's special to me as well as it should be special to you. Uh, it's a special episode of Untitled. I know you've been listening to my previous episodes, and the Untitled comes from a breakdown of it's a specific analogy I came up with. But before I get into that, uh, I want to give you some information about how you can find the show. The show is on all streaming services. Uh, you can also find it on YouTube and Pinterest. After the show today, please send all information, questions, comments to at tedyism.gmail.com. And for my guest today, I will give you his information during the show and after the show as to how you can contact him. Uh, let us hear what you got to say. Now, uh, the Untitled. It's under the Intelligent Tree Leading Discussions. That's my breakdown for it. And with that, I get creating opportunities. And today, my guest is Mr. Ira Curry. But before he speaks, I'm going to do what I do best. I'm going to introduce this man. Right now, I want to introduce you all to my current and for the next who knows how long uh, guest. He is a friend that I didn't know I had, a CEO, a coach, a consultant, a producer, a artist, a profound speaker, and a businessman extraordinaire who started two, not one, but two successful companies by the age of 30. He is the founder and executive chairman of Ira Curry Holdings. And the most important thing that I want you all to know, I want to tell you why his blessings are like oceans. The answer is simple. He is God made. I give you all Mr. Ira Curry. Mr. Curry, like I told you earlier, I appreciate you coming to the show to lead these discussions with me. Uh, it is truly an honor to be in the presence of someone God made as yourself. How are you doing?
Teddy, I'm super good. I'm ecstatic to be here right now. I'm pumped, and thank you for having me on the show. It's really exciting and it's an honor.
I appreciate that. It's an honor for us both because you know who knew we was going to be at this moment right now?
Oh, I
God
know.
did.
Oh, I he knew. I mean, it was so divinely orchestrated. Like from the moment that we connected, we knew that we was connected in the spirit. It was an incredible journey.
I tell people that we may look at uh, we don't really look at the entire blueprint. We just look at the plans, but we don't never see the full blueprint of what's supposed to happen. Uh, I start my show off with two questions, Mr. Curry. The first one is, how are you mentally?
Me mentally, I'm at a good place. I think my mentality is as long as I'm keeping my focus on what my focus should be on, then it's going to be good. So, to answer your question, my mentality, my mental state of mind is good, it's clear, it's clean, it's crisp.
Hey, I appreciate that. The second question, what do you do to manage that?
One, I take God into everything. So if I'm having a bad day, I'm taking him into that bad day. Hey, God, this is what's going on. It's not working the way that I thought it should be working. What are you saying? Should we make a different move? Like, how should we move in this? And so, I mean, spiritually, I'm taking God into it, but practically, I'm keeping my space clean. Like, I'm making sure that I don't have anything on the outside that's hindering my mental state. When you're running companies and when you're leading people and when you're helping other people get into their destiny, you can't be distracted by things that are pulling you down. And so I think I had to learn that at a young age. And as I learned that I had to let go of things that was going to tear down my mentality or that was going to try to hold me back from creating my purpose. So, yeah.
That's amazing. Um, Before I explain the concept of creating opportunities, what does creating opportunities mean to you?
To me, it means creating something that wasn't there in one sense. In another sense, it means providing something to someone else who didn't once have that opportunity, whether that's creating a business or a position. I think creating opportunities is twofold, but I think for me, the biggest part of creating opportunity is making something accessible to someone that was once upon a time not accessible.
That's that's kind of like the same thing that I like because when I came up with the topic creating opportunities, it was just for people to recognize what it's like to see an opportunity because we want the opportunity, but we don't necessarily know what it's like when it's there. So when I came up
Mm,
with, well, I'm not going to say when I came up with, when the topic creating opportunities was presented to me, I was like, yeah, I'm going to use that. So creating opportunities was something that was presented to me to present to the world. I know you asked me what it was about, but what I just gave you, was another opportunity that was created for me to give to you.
I love that. I love that.
So I start each show off with a quote. Usually in my shows, when it's just me, I'm breaking down quotes and I'm giving my own spin on it. I'm breaking it down so other people can understand maybe what the artist thinks or how I see it. And so going back to my quote, I'm going to read it again and just to get your thoughts on it. Um, Sometimes we don't act receptive to things we want because they aren't from the people we want them to be from. What do you think about that?
I think you have to resonate with a certain person. I think you have to feel what it is. You have to feel connected to their message. So I used to give this scenario when I was in corporate America. There was two managers. One manager I resonated with. I felt connected to him. His spirit felt connected to mine. I wanted him to lead me into what I was called to be led into. But then there was another manager, and I didn't like his management style. It's not that I took anything personally against him. I just didn't like the way that he came across to me. My spirit didn't recognize his spirit. And so oftentimes what I've discovered is that we're not oftentimes receptive to a particular individual's message because we're not to be really connected with their journey. So for example, one last example, Teddy, when I met you, I connected. I knew that whatever you was going to provide, we were going to resonate. But there may be other people where I'm not receptive to having a friendship, a relationship, or a conversation with. And so I can definitely, those are my thoughts on that quote because, yeah, yeah.
So now, for me, it's along the same lines of what you said. But for me, I have a deeper understanding, and this is my perspective on it. A lot of times, the reason we aren't receptive to other people's ways of leadership is because that's not how we want. Uh, Let me see. That's not the vision of who we wanted to give it to us. I'll put it like that. And because we have the idea, we have the dream of the perfect statue, the perfect way. We want everything delivered to us. But when it's ugly, when it's not calling anybody ugly, but that's not the way it's delivered outside of the vision we had. We look at it as, oh, that's not who I want it from. Why did you send it this way? Dealing with God like we do, God sends it by anyone, anyway, anyhow. We just don't look at it because it's not who we wanted it to be from. So that's my understanding of the quote, because you always have to have your eyes open, ears ready, and voice be ready, because God talking to you, you just got to listen. So that's where I got it from. Well, it's mine, but it it was given to me from up on high. It's a
I
Tedyism.
like that. I like that. I want to add to that. You've got to be receptive to the different forms of your blessings that may come into your life. In different seasons, God has given me something in a form that I didn't expect, in a form that I didn't want Him to give me the blessing in that way. And so I think that message, it resonates heavy because there are certain seasons and situations that we find ourselves in within our lives where you don't get to choose how it's going to be given to you. You have to go with it the way that it's presented to you, and you have to get accustomed to it, because that thing that God is sending, that thing that you don't want it maybe in that particular way, is connected to your destiny, it's connected to your next level. And so you got to suit up and act accordingly, because ultimately, the way that God is giving it to you could potentially be the way that you're going to need to receive it in order to do what you're called to do in your next season. So I wanted to add to that. That was a very good point.
That's true. It's not just cold in the wintertime. It's cold 24/7 when you ain't listening to when your blessings coming by. I'm just
That's
saying.
it.
I'm just saying. Not trying to turn this into grace and mercy, but y'all should pay attention to them blessings you be asking for, because sometimes that blessing is right there in your midst and you ain't even looking at it, because it's not like that um, blessing someone else got. So we too busy looking at somebody else's blessing, and our blessing is leaving us because you ain't paying attention to it. Now, before I move on, I did an immaculate introduction that I think. I want to give you an opportunity to add anything else if I left something out. Is there anything else that you want to say about yourself as far as introducing? Uh, Go ahead. You got the opportunity to. Or was
Yeah,
mine good enough?
aside from the credentials, I put God first in all. I mean, I think a lot of what I've created and what I've done, what shaped my character, is just His presence and His word. Some things I do for fun. I live in LA for fun. I like to put people in position. That's what I say I do for fun. I put people in their purpose. I help them get to whatever that next level is for them, for those who are connected. I travel, but not too much, and that's really it. Yeah, and we'll get to know me more as we go through the interview. So yeah.
I appreciate that. Uh, I was reading your bio, and as I was thinking back, when I would pick up cans with my brothers, and we would go picking watermelons, and we had a choice: we either pick the watermelons or get the $2 or $3 that we was getting offered at the time. And as I look back on that, I think about all the money we could have stacked up if we'd have just got one watermelon and everybody ate off of it. But all of us wanted to get the watermelon, and only two or three people got the money. I say that because in your bio, your first job is at 13. So that's when you started your journey. I'm still thinking about how I abused mine eating watermelon. So, what was it like for you at 13, starting your journey um, with your first job?
Starting my journey at 13 with my first job, I knew that I was anointed to really have a passion for working for people. Like when I was 13, business attracted me. I loved the way that customers would come in and we were able to take the customer from their current situation of not having what they did not have to providing a solution and take them to their desired situation to give them what they needed. And so I was just fascinated with business. And I think at 13, my mom always looked and said, "Why are you so happy to work?" But I was pumped because it was connected, to the whole thing that I was going to get into. So at 13, working bagging groceries, right? Because this is what I was doing. I was a bagger. They called me a grocery bagger, and I would bag up the customer's grocery and take them out to their car. It was amazing. It was incredible. I made the best out of it, and starting from humble beginnings. But 13, that was it. That's what I remember. Yeah,
What you worked at a grocery store?
grocery store.
I worked at Kroger's from
Mm.
was I 15 all the way up until I graduated. Technically, I still work there because I took a military leave. And that was over 30 years ago. So Kroger's, you still owe
Wow.
me. So when you said bagging groceries, I know what that's like. I also hated it around the
Mm.
holidays because around any holiday, you one or two or three people working there. Then you got that one family come through with 4 or 5 baskets. That means you got to put some work in. You got like 30 bags
Oh
full
yeah.
to the rim, food falling out. But they appreciate it because ma'am, do you need some help taking this out? Yeah, yeah, if you don't mind. You go out
You
there.
knew she was gonna say it. You
Yep.
knew she was gonna say it.
But it's good customer service. But you go out there, you get the 50 cent, dollar, candy, whatever they handing out before COVID, by the way. So you go out there and you building relationships in the community. And that's what's important because everybody know you already. Oh, you such and such little boy. You such a nice, handsome little boy. I'm gonna tell my mama or your mama I saw you. And so that's uh even though I don't work at the grocery store anymore, uh I found my path working in stores like that because I worked at Academy, uh, customer service. I worked at other places, customer service. So that only taught me how to be a people person and how to deal with people that aren't people. And that also showed me how to build up the thick skin. Uh, do you remember any other jobs before your first job?
Well, I think well, I know that was your first job, but long before you're obviously training to you can see how God was setting you up to get you ready for that position, right? Because as you said, as you stepped into that role or of the grocery store, you're learning how to deal with people, right? People when they're great and people when they're not so great. And so I think a job before that was not necessarily a job, but it was really just getting accustomed to people. Being in
Training.
high school, being around people that they didn't flock to me, but you still have to be who you are and really have to come into who you are. So, but no jobs necessarily before the grocery store.
I see a connection we have already moving a few years. You worked at Enterprise, and I rented from there. So we both share an experience with Enterprise in our youth. What was it like working there?
Enterprise was purpose. Enterprise was what I was literally called here to do. As I look back now, it was setting me up for what I've created today. The owner of that company, he was honestly, he took a path that I'm taking now. And it's so interesting. But working there, going into enterprise, it was amazing. They taught us how to treat people great. They taught us how to provide phenomenal customer service. And that's really where I learned how to run a business without actually having business experience. Another part of enterprise, it was really exciting because I was working my way up to the different levels of management. And so I started as a manager training and I came in with a goal, and that was to quickly work my way up to the upper level leadership management trainings. I mean, the upper level managers. And as I worked my way up one by one, it just started taking off. And before I knew it, I was the manager in training, then the assistant manager, and then the account executive, and then senior finance manager, and then stepping into those upper management roles. And that's what I remember about enterprise. It was a great time and it set the foundation for what I've created today.
It did set the foundation because it didn't take long for you to leave there, as you was explaining, because it created a foundation for you to leave there and build a, let me get this name right, uh, engineer credit repair in Houston,
That's it.
Texas.
You got it.
Um, how did this one prosper for you to set up for 2 years later in Charlotte, North Carolina?
So there I was at Enterprise, and it was the day that I knew that God was saying, step away from the job and step into the next. And so I had to take a leap of faith. I didn't know I was going to start a company, so I left. I left the 9 to 5, and I assumed that God was just going to help me figure it out. And that's what He did. I went to my penthouse. It was downtown Houston on the 30th floor at the time. And as I was in the penthouse, I was depressed for 30
Hey,
days. I
hold,
had
hold,
no
hold, hold,
idea.
hold, hold,
Yeah.
hold up, hold. You're not just gonna skip over. He didn't say he went to the townhouse or the apartment. He said I went to my penthouse in downtown Houston. Mind y'all, he been doing this for a while, so he been getting blessed. All right, continue.
Yeah. So there I was, because Enterprise, they took care of me when I was there, but I'm in the penthouse and I'm crying. I'm bawling my eyes out. Was this the devil? Like, why did I leave? Why did I step away from what God had blessed me with? But it was God. And it would soon start to show. At the end of the 30 days, downloads started coming of how to start this business, how to create it, how to build engineer credit repair. As I built the credit repair company, I started to see how God was showing me that my purpose at Enterprise was so that I can encounter single moms who were coming in to get loans for their vehicle, to purchase a vehicle. And he was going to use that because I sat back in the finance office when I went over to that division and I was like, God, who's helping these people? Like, why are we just turning them away? Like, why can't someone help these single women get into a car? And it was because their credit was low.
Paid
And
attention
so I
to
like
your
to tell people
blessings.
that, exactly, I like to tell people that everything is leading to everything. Your last position was setting you up for your next position. And so as I was in position as a finance manager, my next move was God to move me into the position of a CEO of a credit repair company so that I could help those single moms rebuild their credit so that they could get into the cars and just have that good credit. So that's where it started. That's how I made that transition from enterprise in the finance office into engineer credit repair.
So tell me a little bit about the the construction of the name engineer. I already know credit repair. That's easy. But how was the thought process to come up with the name engineer? And tell us a little bit about what makes your credit repair different from anybody else's.
So engine, when you think of a car engine, you think of something that it runs, it keeps things going. But when you think of an engineer, you think of someone who's creating something. They're making something happen. And so the near part, the way I spelled it was like bringing it near. So long story short, my job was to be an engineer to help people bring them closer to better credit. And so that's how the name came up. And it was just like engineer, I'm going to re-engineer your credit in a sense. I'm going to bring you closer to better credit. That's how the name came up for engineer.
Hmm, that's interesting. It's still in Houston.
I'm done with engineer. It was connected to my last season, I'll say. But yeah, I knew God was saying it's time to let that go because it was again setting me up for that next level.
So, what happened with that once you got to North Carolina?
So North Carolina, man, purpose started prevailing. 2020, I remember myself being called to coach other CEOs. See, I did my part. I fulfilled my mission. I left the company of enterprise and I stepped into my purpose at engineer credit repair. I helped these people rebuild their credit. And so the next part of my destiny was to help an entrepreneurs start their own companies, to build their own credit repair companies. I had stewarded what I had. I did a good job, or at least that's what God told me. And so he started to send people my way, and it was like, Ira, oh my God, you're growing your team so fast. You're building your business super quick. How are you getting all these customers? How are you growing so fast? And how are you building this team? And that ultimately led to Ira Carey Consulting, where I consulted with an entrepreneurs in a one-on-one setting to help them start and grow their credit repair business. That's what happened in Charlotte.
So the Ira Curie consultant, was that at Evolution that first began with Ira Curie coaching and business consultant?
So the consulting started first, but a consultant is an expert. They can tell you what to do. They can tell you how to get the business. But the consultant ultimately wants to become the coach because the coach is kind of like the master. He knows his stuff. And so I like to tell people that a consultant will tell you the answer, but the coach will coach you to the answer. He will ask you a set of questions that will lead you to the answer without giving you the answer. He's the master at his craft. And so we went from our career consulting, and I started coaching people in a group setting at our career coaching. I knew my stuff a little bit so good that I could do it in a group setting versus just a one-on-one setting. And so that's how that came about.
Hmm. Uh, it's a lot of blessings that's happening for you during a pandemic because this, as you stated, this was 2020, 2019, 2020, 2021, where a lot of people are looking at, hey, what am I going to do? And for you, you saw a lot of blessings, not standing on the other side of the wall, but looking through your window like, let me in, which took you to San Diego. What happened in San Diego?
San Diego was the launch of our Carry Leadership Academy. We had did so good with our Carry coaching and consulting. God was like, "Hey, I'm going to give you a little bit more. I see how you've been obedient. I see that you did what you was called to do. Let's step it up. Let's get you some people in a classroom setting, and let's coach them on how to start, run, and grow their business." As I stepped out into San Diego, it was a very supernatural experience. I wasn't in control. I was just doing what God was calling me to do. As I stepped out in corporate America, it's very interesting to know that every year, every step of the way, every time I was obedient, God started to reveal more of Himself to me. God started to reveal more blessings to me. As others were not getting blessed and running into one of the hardest seasons of their lives, I was thriving. But it was all because it was the appointed time. Going back to San Diego, the whole mission of our Carry Leadership Academy was to help, these groups of entrepreneurs to start and grow their business in a classroom setting. It was a phenomenal time. I just remember starting the trimesters and the people coming in like, Coach Carey, man, you're the man. Like, you're changing my life. You're helping me grow my business. And it was a phenomenal time. And it was incredible. That's what I remember.
So the Exec Club Association, tell us a little bit about that.
Exec Club. Wow, that was the next birth of my next level of my purpose. Exec Club. Okay, so I did one-on-one coaching. I mastered that at our Carry Consulting, and then I started coaching people in a group setting in our Carry Coaching. And as we moved over and transitioned into our Carry Leadership Academy, I had mastered a classroom setting. But one day, my clients were like, "Hey, we want more of you. We want more of the gift that God has given you to serve us. How can we stay connected?" See, Teddy, once the semesters were over, well, you pay me, we get together for 3 months. Once the classes are over, you're done. We're done. But they wanted to have me more longer. So that led me into my next thing that I created, and that was the Exec Club Association. It's a membership site where the students, once they graduated the academy, they can sign up for the membership site each month and they can stay learning lessons from me. All of my life lessons in business and leadership, emotional intelligence, whatever that is. And that's how I made the transition from our Carry Leadership Academy into the Exec Club Association, a place where executives can hang out and do exec type stuff.
So it's like an intern program for executives.
That's it. That's it. It's a
That's
club for executives, bosses in their own company.
That's not a bad thing because you want to get that training before you become the boss, before you become exec, because they need training too, because you don't want them to just fall into a CEO position or executive position and they don't have training, because you don't want them to fail. So you want to set them up for success. A lot of times in business and life, you don't see people training the next person to be in their position because they're afraid to lose their position. And so, what you've been doing is setting people up to ultimately take your position, but it's hard to take your position because you keep moving to a new one. So
And I just
it's
want to add on that. It's so true. It's like every time I'm like, God, I'm training these people to do what I've done, and that's exciting. And so every time I get ready to put them in position, I find myself in a new position, and then ultimately it's birthed through a form of a company, and it's so exciting because when I hear people like Shantia Green, like, Ira, you changed my life. You've helped me go from this to that. You've helped me go from the 9 to 5 to the full-time entrepreneur. When I hear people like Motika Jenkins, like, wow, I've had experiences with other coaches, but I've never had experience with you. And I just think like it's because I'm not doing it in my own strength. It's bigger than me. And so I just wanted to add to that because that was a good comment you made. Yeah.
uh, I just want to say, uh, what was her name? Motifa Jenkins,
Motika Jenkins.
and what's the other one name?
Shantia Green.
Chantel Green, Miss Chantel Green, and Miss Todifa Jenkins. You better be listening to the show because he calling your name out. So that means
That's
you
it.
have to listen to the show.
That's it.
Um, what's it like? Because you mentioned this earlier. What's it like to retire from traveling, uh, from traveling the world? What's it like to say, you know what? I'm going to retire from traveling the world.
By the time you want to do that, you're ready to do that. For me, I was tired of traveling. I was over it. I had did what I set out to do. I knew that the mission was complete. I had completed the assignment. When I initially started traveling, it was fun. I would be in New York one day, LA the next. I would be in Miami the weekend and Phoenix on the weekday. And so that was fun for a little while. I would go here, I would complete these assignments, but every place that I've ever went to, it was connected to an assignment. So when I started the Leadership Academy in San Diego, it's because that's where I was called for my assignment. When I did the 0 to 6 figure challenge, online challenge, I did it in Miami because it was connected to that assignment. So what I love about the traveling that I did, it really set the foundation for what I've created today. Had I not had the traveling, it would not have been so impactful to do all of these things in a short period of time. So to say that I retired from traveling, I'm excited. Like I'm pumped. Like it's amazing.
I retire, but it's really like a pause because I go places.
Yeah.
I think in the 50 states, I only have like 11 to see. And to those 11 include Alaska, Hawaii, and some of those northern states like Montana and places like that. But places that I got to get on a plane to actually hit the body of water, Alaska and Hawaii are part of that 11. And so I plan on seeing all 50. I'm close. I'm close. I can't say I've been to Dubai twice, which gets me Abu Dhabi. So I can't say that. Now, I travel a little bit. Uh, I have done the uh, Phoenix one weekend, LA one weekend, Denver one weekend, um, that rotation. Because as you saw earlier, when I called you, did the pre-production meeting, that's why I did that little rotation. But when I'm off, I do travel on my own.
Mm,
And so, because I just came from San Francisco, not San Francisco, well, yeah, I was in California. My cousin lives in, I have a few family members that live in Los Angeles. So I landed in Los Angeles, drove up to Santa Maria, spent a few days in Santa Maria, went from Santa Maria to San Francisco, from San Francisco back to Santa Maria, from Santa Maria back to Los Angeles, and then flew home driving. I drove while I was in California. So, but I flew out there. But when I got there, straight highway. So I do a little traveling myself. With that being said, I'm going to take a 20-second break right now. When we come back, we will continue this discussion with the great businessman God made himself, Mr. Ira Curry. Just going to be an awkward 20 seconds. Just going to be an awkward 20 seconds. I can cut
No
it out.
worries. Perfect.
Welcome back, everybody. Um, I am with, like I said, Mr. God made himself, uh, the prosperous one, Mr. Curry. So, am I pronouncing your last name right?
No, you are.
Uh,
You're pronouncing it spot on.
okay, because when everyone sees that, they think Steph Curry, not Curry. So that's why I was asking. Can you pronounce your name so everyone knows how it's supposed to be pronounced?
There's a funny story behind that. I am going to pronounce it, but the way that I pronounce it isn't always the way that it's supposed to be pronounced. So I'm going to say iracurry because that's how I pronounce it, and we're going to go with that.
Okay, that's fine. Now, getting back into the discussion, something was supposed to have launched November 1st. Did that happen? And can you tell the people what we're talking about?
We are talking about Coachman. Coachman launched November the 1st. It's the first web app to put people in position, right? To help anyone build a business with no experience. What my vision for Coachman was is so many people who's working for somebody else. And they have a dream that's within their hearts where they want to go and start to work for themselves. The only problem is they don't know exactly what they want to do. And so Coachman was created to help people make that transition out of corporate America into coaching, which is one of the easiest way to start a business. And so that's the vision for Coachman, and that's what it's about.
So I have looked at the site and what does Coachman by Era Curry and business coaching program. So you all, when you check the site, there's two programs on there, Coachman and Business Coaching Program. Can you tell us what does each one of those programs offer?
Absolutely. So if you're looking to start a business and you don't quite know what business you want to start, or if you know you want to start a coaching business, Coachman is the way to go. It's a software that's going to help you start and build a business with no business experience. So that's one. Two, for those who you have a business, you're an existing business owner, but you're struggling to grow your existing business, you can enroll into the Ira Carey Business Coaching Program, and I'm going to coach you through the process as to how to step by step grow your business. So, two options for those who are looking to start a business and grow a business. It's a one stop shop.
So I told you all, I did look at the site. On those two sites, there's a 14-day free trial. Let me repeat that. There's a 14-day free trial. Now, just because I repeated it, don't make it 28 days. There's a 14-day free trial. Um, Mr. Cure, what happens after the 14-day free trial that would make someone want to continue the service?
So they'll continue it because the value that they're getting. Someone is literally holding your hand in a step by step process, offering you the software coupled with an academy that's training you how to start, grow your own coaching business. And I think once people, as they do, they get into it, they're like, man, this is incredible. Like, let's move forward. Like, I'm ready to continue my trial. So, most people, when they sign up, they're just making sure it's a good fit. They're making sure that the software is something that's going to be conducive to them. But when they get in it, they get blown away because they didn't realize how good it was. They didn't realize how good it was going to be. And so it's kind of like when I started Enterprise. When I started at that company, I didn't think it was going to be that great. I didn't think it was going to be that amazing. And so I needed a preview. And so I like to look at the 2 week trial as a preview of what you're getting into so that you can continue stepping into it if you feel it continues to resonate.
That's amazing. Because that was one of the questions that I had looking at the 14-day trial. People always, well, it's free 14 days. I canceled it at day 13. They set their phones. They'd be like, you know, I started today. I can set an alert and I can cancel it on day 13. Whew, I'm good. I don't have to worry about getting that money come on my account. At least I got 13 days. How do you handle that as far as the numbers go towards uh, your company for those two programs? Because I'm sure it's a lot of numbers that you have to account for. Let's say if you have 100 people that sign up for the 14-day today, and out of that 100, 60 of them say, I got 14 days free, I'm good. Well, as positive as you are, you probably gonna be like, I got 40, I'm good. But looking at the numbers, how do you adjust that with talking to people? Hey, it's still a good program. Let's keep running it. What's the uh, what's the meeting like with your board members, or just what is the conversation like to keep that program going?
Like when I get with the CEO and the board members, it's always a conversation like, yeah, I see we did it good here, but how can we improve? We have this report that's called a free trial report or a free user report. And we really dig into the statistics. Okay, so these people are signing up, but they're not staying in the program. So let's have a conversation as to why. I think it's so important as leaders and business owners that we are constantly looking for ways to be better. It's going to be great, and we understand that some people, they do have the mindset where they sign up and they counsel at a certain time, but there is still a fraction that we can learn from. Like, why didn't you move forward, Miss Customer? Tell me, did you not have the money, right? Was it a service issue? Did the software, did it not meet your expectation? Was it not in alignment with what you originally perceived? So we're always digging into the questions and really asking those hard questions so that we can ultimately see what adjustments do we need to make as the company to continue making this a great software. Because again, when you put your CEO and your chairman hat on, we're customer focused. They're telling us how to do this software because essentially God is sending the customer and you are to get that information from them in order to continue to move your company forward. So that's how we handle that.
So you all have a survey that they do after the 14 days.
We don't have a survey. We do send out a survey. It's a general survey, like, hey, as they're counseling, can you tell us why you decided to not counsel? But more specific than that, we're looking at an actual report. And this report is emailed to me at the end of each night. Okay, this is how many people signed up for the software. This is how many people that did not continue their trial after the 2 weeks. So I'm digging in with the CEO. Hey, let's talk about why this is not happening. Let's see, can we get what is our feedback saying? What are the customers saying? And how can we improve this area?
Okay. I was asking because the survey is the easiest way to get people to answer with not them having to put their name on it. But it's also a lot of people don't fill out surveys. So it's one of those 50-50 things. Some people will do it, some people won't. But if you offer them an extra day, hey, you get 15 days free. They're like, oh, let me fill out the survey. Um, Now, I want to ruffle some feathers. Uh, what's the deal with the beta and alpha males concept you have?
You know, that's a good one. I didn't expect that one. That's a good one. Okay, so this is how I look at it, right? So these are my thoughts. I think everyone is evolving into everyone. That's what I ultimately think. I think the beta is who I used to be when I was in corporate America. I was submissive. Like when I say submissive, I was more open to leadership. And in my relationship with a woman, I was more, let me please her. So the alpha is the way I look at it, the alpha is someone who's, he's confident, he's charismatic, he's in charge, he's an ideal CEO in a business, and he's an ideal, I guess, lover for a woman in a sense. He's confident, he knows his stuff, he's on top of it. My only thoughts is that the Sigma, he's the master at both. He knows how to be both characters. Like if he needs to be loving to his wife, he can instead of, there's a balance. And I just feel like Sigmas, which I consider myself to be a Sigma by title, I feel like Sigmas, we know the personality of both roles and we use them accordingly to feed what we need to feed. So, last example, if my woman needs me to be more, more gentle, I can be a little more gentle. But then there are moments when she needs to see more of my alpha side as well. There's a balance. Those are my thoughts on it.
Oh, because I saw that and I'm like, let me surprise him with this question.
Yeah.
To add to
It-
that, I think there are alpha and beta couples.
yeah. Yeah, I think
And
that
so
too,
and
100.
and it goes along with everything you just said, except instead of just the male, you're looking at the couples, because some couples only want to be like other couples, and some couples don't want to be like no couples.
That's it.
I think the the phrase is you're trying to be like the Joneses across the street, while the whole time the Joneses are looking out their window seeing how you cut your grass.
That's the one. That's it.
Uh, During your interview with Mr. Kirshen Joseph, you talked about there are moments when God will hide you. I love that explanation, by the way. Uh, and I mentioned to you, I know what it's like to step away from social media and take your break. You mentioned that you detached for a year. So I took a first one I did, it was like 30 days. But then I gradually started to move it up. Then one day it was 45 days. Then the next year it became, let me see how long I can go. Because social media needs me. I don't need social media because I make it popular. It doesn't make me popular. I mean, it can make me popular, but it's all in my mindset. So my question
Right.
is, um, for you, what is it like to detach the social flesh and build in silence?
I think it's a good refresher. I think it's important that I do that every so often because when I'm connected to what I was connected to, sometimes I can't hear the next thing I need to get connected to. But I don't really always have a choice in that. See, sometimes God just pulls me about the scene when I'm least expecting it. And He's telling me, hey, let's move in this direction because there's a new thing that I want to do. And I can't do it if you're still focusing on the old thing, the old tribe, the old people that I sent you. So sometimes He will intentionally pull you away so that he can hide you so that you can work on the next product. It's very interesting to note, had I not been pulled out of corporate America, I would have never been able to create what I call my own corporate America. And so God intentionally pulls you out of these situations as he did with me so that I could start to work on new things, new ideas. And that's what led to Coachman. So a year of being hidden, I was building, baby, in the background, building Coachman. And it's great because I did what God asked. So yeah.
So the next thing I want to ask is I want to talk about, well, I don't want to talk about, but I want to ask, can I ask about a project that's supposed to be coming up like spring flowers around 2023?
Let's do it. Okay.
What's
So
supposed to
I
be happening? Is the iracurry entity getting bigger? Is this some news that you can give us?
so I can talk just a little bit. Okay. So just a little bit. So spring 2023, we're launching the Our Carry Show, and it's amazing. It's really exciting because it's so much I can't say, but then there's some things I can say. But it's a show that's really, I mean, when you think of it, you can think of an entrepreneur entertainment. You can think of, I can't talk on it too much, but stay around. Like when you guys go to iracurryitribe.com/get started, you'll be able to follow my social media and connect with me as well. But it is, let's just say it's going to be amazing. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be a good time. And I'm super excited to send it
That's all I needed to know.
out.
I just needed a little bit. Um, so there is this story that I wanted to bring up. Let me plug this laptop up first. I hate to have it go dead. So give me a second.
No worries.
There you go. Give it life. Now, there you go. Going back to you recently spoke at 2022 Real Estate Investment Summit hosted by a Lima McAleen on Sunday, October 29th, 2022. Like I said recently, it was over Zoom with approximately 200 attendees. What was that like? Uh, Being able to do that, was it a wow moment? And what keeps you grounded outside the faith?
Man, it was a moment of, this is what I wanted, like to speak in front of people. It was so hard for me at once upon a time to speak in front of people. I had no story to share. I just didn't have what I have now. I didn't have the companies. I didn't have the success. So what can you really speak about? But I always wanted to be a speaker. And so speaking in front of those 200 people, it was like living my dream. It was like living my best life. I was able to pour into people on a higher level. And as I was speaking, I wasn't just speaking just to be speaking. I was speaking from my spirit. I was speaking from my experiences. And so there was no script, it was just me flowing. And so to get to that point of my life, it was just like, wow, I've achieved a milestone. Like, yet there's so much more to accomplish, but I've achieved a milestone. What keeps me grounded aside from my faith? Man, it's the people that's connected to my purpose. It's the Motikas, the Shantias, the Derricks, like these people that have, they looked up to what I've done. And they've ultimately started to do that as well because they've invested in trainings that with me that's helping them do that. And so I think what keeps me grounded is just knowing that there are people that are counting on me to continue to put out what I put out. And so for me, it's the people that's connected to my purpose.
How can we get other people connected to what's spilling out of your cup?
Yeah. So the best way to connect with me, whether it's on social media, whether it's investing in one of my programs, ourcarry.com/get started. I think my Facebook is probably the place that I'm at the most. But if you can get connected with me in some way, I want to connect with all of you guys who are listening right now.
So, you remember that story about the little train that could?
I do. Wow, I
And
do.
if you all don't know, there was a story about the little train that could. This little train motivated itself, and it said anytime it faced adversity, it would always say, I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. But Mr. Curry, I'm telling you that, and for everyone listening, Mr. Curry took that story and it became, I know I am going to be something. And he started saying, I will be what God made me to be. And then that became, I can make it all better. So he took what a little train was thinking it could be doing, and he flipped it into what he knew he was going to be doing. Uh, he made a way for others to have the opportunity to succeed. Mr. Curry, I appreciate you coming on the show. The time is yours to promote anything you have coming up, and then I'll close out.
Hey, I just want to say if you guys have connected with my message, if you resonate inside of your spirit, let's connect. Let's get connected. Whether you're looking to start a business, whether you're looking to grow a business, or whether you're just looking for a daily encouragement, follow me on Facebook at carry.ira and all of my other social media channels as well. You can find that at iracurry.com/get started. And of course, all of your listeners, they do get the free trial. So check out the website, and I will see you guys on the inside.
Like I said, appreciate you coming on. And like I always do, I got to close with a quote. How you are raised is not all you know, it's all you want to hold on to. You ultimately make the decision to stay the same or learn to be better. It's your decision as an adult to develop. That is an original Tedyism. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Um, when is the next show? Hell, I don't know.